Hello, everybody. Halkrux here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 404. Well, today we're going to do a little bit of what if. All right, so as you've seen in the headlines right there is the Thug IIC, which, well, there isn't one. Why is there not a Thug IIC in the game? You know, you got the Warhammer 2C, the Marauder 2C, the Wolverine 2C. Yes, there is a Wolverine 2C. It's called the Conjurer, but because of the whole, oh no, it's Clan Wolverine, let's remove all namesakes of it. Long live the 331st Minnesota tribe. Yes. All right, so, okay, so, yeah, there's a whole plethora of, like the Locust 2C. You know, there's the Commando 2C. You know, there's a whole bunch of 2Cs out there. And then there's a bunch of Inner Sphere refits, which really, they're really not 2Cs. They're just adding clan weapons to it, just a direct plug and play. You know, they don't make an actual refit of anything and turn it into something kind of cool. So what are we looking at? Okay, I was like, the conversation came up in our previous episode of the Thug, the standard Thug, and someone goes, well, there's not a Thug 2C. And it was like, had me thinking. I've done this thinking before, and we've gone through in the past in our group and say, hey, what are the, could have been, what is the, 2C equivalent? And so we did do some looking and thought processing and going through the brain housing group and said, hey, okay, this is what we're thinking it might look like. And, okay, let's just bring up the program and just take all the weapons on it and just convert them into clan weapons, what's left over. And we wanted to go with the whole thought process of, okay, they're not going to be really converting everything completely, unlike, hey, we're talking about you, Shadowhawk 2C. That is not even a Shadowhawk 2C. That's something, that's not even a Shadowhawk. I was like that's off there in La La Land someplace. You know, we kind of throw that one out there as a, I did bring this up at once at Gen Con back in the early 90s when book first came out. And I was talking with, what was his name? That was running FOSSA at the time. Gosh, I'm forgetting his name. But I did ask about it, and he said, well, it was kind of a clerical error. It's like, but we ran with it. So, okay. It was just, it's an anomalous thing out there that happened. Okay, throw that one out. All right. Goes out with the baby in the bathwater. Okay, so the Thug 2C. I was like, all right, so if you take the standard Thug and you convert everything over to clan weapons, you do have some extra space on board. And obviously it has endo steel already. And it was like, well, why not throw some ferro fibers on? Because the Inner Sphere one had 14... crit slots taken over by Endosteel. If you convert it over to Clan Endosteel, you got 7 left. So we just gave it ferrofibrous armor, which gave you a little bit more tonnage to play with. And it's like, oh, how about we throw an XL engine? I was like, well, does the original have XLs? I'm like, no. Okay, let's not put XLs on it. Just keep it kind of a bog standard zombie style kind of mech that can take a lot of hits and not be killed by, losing torsos, unless it gets hit in the ammo, but it still has case. So the original had case, but clan if you got ammo, you automatically have case. So that was a non-starter, so you gained a little bit of weight there. Now, so what are you left with? We decided, do we want to go with any less heat sinks, more heat sinks? We decided, let's keep the heat sinks the same at 18 and just see what we can get from there. So you got 2 ERPPCs, right and left arm. Hey, what's not to love about that? And then you got 2 SRM 6s. Let's convert them to Streak 6s. Let's just make this thing a crit hunting, punch you in the face type of mech, which has, a lot of good capabilities. You're punching holes with the ERPPCs as you close. And then when you get into range with those things, you're going to hammer away with the 2 streaks. Now, all right, so you have that. So that is the primary weapons that you have on the standard Thug. All right, so now you got some tonnage left over. And we looked at it and go, okay, what can you go from there? What can we play with? So it was like, okay, we got clan pulse weapons we could look at. All right, so we got, so we put 2 of those on. There's 4 tons. We still got some space left over. So we went with some ECM. There's a ton right there. And it's, okay, we got a half ton left. What are we going to do? All right, so yeah. Flamer, yes, must have a flamer. We love flamers. We love fire. We're Pyrotechnica. So now you have a Thug IIC that has 2 ERPPCs, 2 pulse lasers, medium pulse lasers, 2 SRM6 streaks, a flamer, and an ECM suite for a little bit of extra protection from like Artemis and all that fun stuff. And you know, this is before the age of, well, you had the C3 networks and all that fun stuff. So they don't know much about that. They just have to worry about Artemis. And that's the primary purpose of it, is to shut down Artemis. So there, that's not a bad little mech. You know, it's like, and it came in at roughly 2,100 battle values, roughly somewhere in there. So when you think about it, it is a pretty decent mech. You know, you're not having something that's going to go out and punch you in the face too much. Yeah, it does. You know, that's the nice thing about that we really enjoy about this mech. So it's been used in many different campaigns. You know, when we're playing later in the years, like clan on clan wars back in the cluster. So before they even decide to go back to the inner sphere and do their crusade. So yeah, but it never survived coming back to the inner sphere. That's why you don't see it. That's, you know, the kind of thought we had was that, yeah, they built them, but they never made it back because they got basically wiped out before they could come back. And they really didn't put much effort into it. Oh, we got all these Omni-Mechs that we're now building. So it was like, and it's, do we want to put the resources into something for second line mechs? And not really. So they didn't. So that's why it never made the light of day again. So that was the thought process that we had going with this mech. So I'm just curious, what other mechs do you think should be brought up into a 2C capacity that never were a 2C before? All because they never made it back to the inner sphere, so they didn't know about it, and then they got lost to history. Because if you look at some of the mechs out there, if you look at the whole plethora of Star League mechs that, you know, you had the Mercury, Thorn, Mongoose, Hermes, Hussar, Sentinel, Wyvern, Crab, Kentaro, Champion, Lancelot, Exterminator, Bombardier, Guillotine, Flashman, Black Knight, Thug, Crockett, Highlander, and Crab 2. King Crab. So, yeah, those are just Star League mechs right there that we used to play with, and we always wondered why there wasn't any 2C compatible ones. So, which one in the future would you like me to share with you? Because I do have some other ones that I have done in the past that we, as a group think, had put together and tried to keep them kind of near the original that are slightly improved. So, that never got put into production. All right, so that's it. That is the Thug IIC, the mech that never was, but could have been. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share to friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Elcrex out.